talking about the monumental upset that we saw over this past weekend with Anthony Joshua not just getting knocked out cold by Daniel Dubois. Was supposed to be AJ's culmination of his resurgence back at the top of the mountain. And hey, let me tell you something. I was wrong. I will be the first to admit I was completely wrong on this fight. Yes, indeed. I said that this was going to be a monumental lopsided win on the side of AJ, setting up a potential undisputed opportunity. But lo and behold, I was completely wrong. And Daniel Dubois came to play. Daniel Dubois showed up. Daniel Dubois shook up the entire landscape of the heavyweight division. And so how exactly did this happen? Well, let's break the fight down, shall we, as we delve into the world of boxing. With round one, what happens? AJ comes out loose, comes out comfortable, and Dubois just comes with a destructive, pressuring, demoralizing force that just won't leave AJ alone. Constantly getting on the front foot, constantly popping out that jab, beating the jab of Joshua, and inevitably knocking him down with a big looping overhand right. That was the story of the entire night. Shakes AJ up, puts him down on the mat, has us all questioning, well, it's Andy Ruiz and AJ all over again. Will he have the fight? Will he have the will to be able to come back and essentially turn this fight around? Or will he quit like we had seen him do in his last fight when he got knocked down and seemingly get all tentative and get uncomfortable and be scared of what was coming at him? But ironically enough, that's not what happened. Got up, kept on trying to fight, kept on trying to part that jab, kept on trying to box Dubois. Dubois turned it into a fight by constantly rushing and pressuring on AJ. And it was working flawlessly, continually hurting AJ multiple times with hooks and with uppercuts, blitzing AJ, beating him with the jab on the inside and on the outside, ironically enough, and was making it so that AJ never got comfortable. And AJ was never able to get any sort of real control. And we'll touch on control a little bit later. But again, even still, in round two, again, hurt, almost gets knocked down again. And then round three, knocked down again by Daniel Dubois. Round four, knocked down again by Daniel Dubois. Almost been knocked down twice, I believe. But one was counted as a slip. Next thing you know, round five finally has a moniker of success. Gets one clean right hand on Dubois, and it seemed like the fight was going to turn around. Seemed like everything was going to be, hey, this is the AJ that we were looking for, an AJ that can fight back, an AJ that wouldn't be scared of his power, but trust himself, trust his ability, trust his pedigree, and trust his willingness to be able to win by any means necessary. With the same mentality as George Foreman of the past when he was getting ready to lose to Ron Lyle. I would rather die than lose again. That's what we saw AJ have in seemingly his confidence in that slim moment. But what do you know? After that highest of highs, that seemed like a comeback, we see Dubois come back still with a counter right hand and absolutely end the show. And ladies and gentlemen, we saw the end of AJ in this fight with a knockout, and you're still retaining IBF heavyweight champion Daniel Dubois in one of the most shocking and one of the more exciting nights in boxing, at least in British boxing history. The prodigal son was supposed to return, but instead he fell flat on his face. Literally was delirious. Did not know where he was, and we had never seen AJ in this type of situation before. We've seen him get beat, sure. We've seen him get caught, like with Andy Ruiz. We've seen him get outboxed by better boxers like with Usyk in both instances, though the second fight was the better fight for AJ. We have never seen this man cold, hard, knocked out, nor absolutely dominated in the fashion that we saw from Daniel Dubois. This was the first instance that I can ever say that we saw AJ completely and utterly destroyed. There is no two ways about it. This was AJ's worst loss of his career. This is worse than Ruiz. This is worse than any of the Usyk fights. This is a situation you didn't get caught with a shot that just, boom, put you out. You got destroyed and beaten every which way. You got Dubois outboxed you in terms of AJ. In fact, that's what we need to go to next. What exactly went wrong for Anthony Joshua? What exactly transpired that caused this whole debacle, this absolute shocking development to happen? this destruction from somebody that was supposed to be well below AJ's level, even though Dubois had been on a resurgence. And we're going to get to and talk about Dubois' resurgence later, but strictly sticking with Anthony Joshua for now. What went wrong? Well, it was a multitude of things, but the biggest of which all revolve around one simple thing. And that thing is defense. Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, we saw one of the worst defensive performances that we've ever seen from somebody of the caliber of Anthony Joshua. Wholeheartedly. It was almost mind-boggling how loose, yes, he looked comfortable, but how just almost lackadaisical, nonchalant that we saw AJ look in this fight, with him seemingly being like, yeah, I'm good, I'm okay, this ain't gonna last forever. Never brought his lead hand up, never got a tight guard, never, even after he had gotten hurt, rocked, and put down. This wasn't a situation where, hey, it was just too much for him to bear. No, a simple adjustment could have potentially mitigated a lot of the damage that we saw AJ take in this fight. Yet, it didn't happen. He never made that one simple adjustment. Kept on stepping back out directly in the center line. Never moved his head off the center line. Kept exiting in the same way. We tried to use footwork, but Dubois kept cutting his angles off and would continually stalk AJ down, walk AJ down, bully AJ to where he wanted to go, pressure him to make him make mistakes every single time out. It was, again, a masterful display by Daniel Dubois. However, when it came to Anthony Joshua, his defense failed him. The game plan was horrible. We even saw in the knockdown, when he got knocked out, you mean to tell me you have him hurt? Finally, you have him on the ropes. Finally, but you know what he's been doing to you the entire fight long. You throw an uppercut to try to end the show, a long uppercut, when you literally could have just pumped out your jab, maybe once, get a feint, and then land another right hand because you already landed twice already. Instead of switching up to such a drastic degree with a winding uppercut that you get beat with a short right hand by Dubois, of course that's going to happen. Your punch selection was horrible. And on top of that, if you had just blocked while throwing the uppercut, maybe even though it was a dumb shot that you threw, it would have been something you would have survived potentially. And you could have kept on the pressure, and the fight could have potentially turned around in your favor. That is on you. You, Anthony Joshua, you messed up. That was ridiculous. And the ironic thing, he was warned about what was coming when he hurt Dubois. When he landed that right hand, that naked right hand, he goes and lands another right hand, gets him in the corner. Dubois, after that second right hand, counters with another overhand right of his own. AJ, it hits him, but he gets his guard up, and there's a warning. Hey, it's still there. That right hand's still there. He gets into the posture of blocking and being defensively sound while closing distance for a split second. And then it immediately brings that left hand back down and throws that uppercut with no guard on this side of his face for a window. Next thing you know, a short right hand, getting one of the weakest punches that we saw Dubois throw in this fight. That's what knocks out AJ. And it ended with him on the floor with his butt literally looking up to the sky. It was incredible. In the worst way possible. For all the damage that he took, that's the shot. All because he didn't keep his guard up. Didn't keep his left hand defensively responsible. Wasn't responsible for the entirety of the fight. How did this get away in training camp? How did this get instilled in him during the lead up to this fight? How in the world did this happen that we see AJ having this type of issue defensively when it's never been something that we have seen as a problem for AJ in the past? We've said he's had a glass jaw. We've never said he's been bad defensively. We've never said it. I have been saying that AJ is one of the most well-rounded heavyweights in the world. Legitimately. He was great at nearly everything. An elite power puncher. Had good to great footwork. Had good to great defense. Was good to great at controlling distance. He was, again, the textbook boxer puncher. That's what he was. That's what we understood him as. That's what made him so dangerous. And boxing the brother wasn't working. In fact, you got outboxed by Daniel Dubois for the entirety of the fight. You could not get away from the pressure We've seen other fighters this a couple weeks ago. Caleb Plant versus McCumbee. He couldn't outbox the pressure fighter, even though he should have been the better boxer. What did he do? Switched up his tactic, went in for the aggression, closed the distance, made it so that if you can fight, show me you can fight on the inside. Show me that you have the ability without the momentum of coming forward to come and make something happen. Strictly on the inside work. Where is your talent? That's what Caleb Plant did to McCumbee. We could have seen Joshua potentially do the same thing. I'm not saying it would have changed anything, but I'm saying it would have done something to mitigate what was consistently working for Daniel Dubois, which was with you trying to get away from the pressure of Dubois. Dubois was able to continually have that forward rolling pressure, be able to come and double up on the jab while always moving forward, making it so you're always on the back foot, constantly closing the distance more and more and more. There's so much that shocked me on the defensive end as to why we saw AJ be so bad in a department that we normally say he's very good technically. And when it came to offensively, the brother, ironically enough, was not nearly as sharp as we had seen him in the past with his punches. And it's a very interesting affair in terms of what exactly caused all this to transpire. This was not the AJ that I know I have seen in the past. It wasn't. Even in his losses in the past, even in his wins that we were saying, where is the old AJ? Even in that situation, we never saw this. Never saw this. What exactly was going wrong? AJ is a fighter that, with everything, throughout his entire career, has relied on control. The use of the jab is what sets up every other aspect of his offense. He gets that down. Now he's able to open up with more combinations a lot more comfortably. Even in the past, before the Dubois fight, it was boom. Once he gets you down with that jab and controlling what the distance is, controlling the pace by controlling the entire flow of whatever offense comes his way and whatever offense he is throwing, that's what gets him in rhythm, per se. That's what gets him going. That's what gets him into the flow of being one of the more destructive boxers that we've seen. Otto Arlene, it was the jab that started the entire thing. The jab versus Ngannou was the very thing that set up the emphatic destruction and one of the best KOs we had seen in boxing that year on what was supposed to be an iron chin. Now we see that if you can pressure him, take him out that element, force him into a dogfight, understanding that his chin is indeed lax and his chin is susceptible. Get out of the fundamental nature that AJ wants to put this fight in. Turn this into the war, puts him in the most danger possible. You got a formula to win. Now, what is he? Really, what is he? What is Anthony Joshua now? How did we get to this point? And that's really what I want to touch on. How we got here is because AJ has run into the same stopgap that we saw with Joe Joyce. Remember when Joe Joyce was running through the division? And then what happened? He goes and fights Zhang and gets battered with left hands over and over and over. Comes back, then goes and gets battered with left hands again. This time gets knocked out in quicker fashion and more dominating fashion than the last time. And why was that the case? Because he could not blend offense and defense perfectly with his style. When it comes to AJ, he was defensively sound and had the perfect blend of offense and defense. Though, yes, the weak chin was always a factor. The reason why it was hidden for so long up until Andy Ruiz was because of the fact that he was so defensively responsible. Even when we saw AJ go through and going through his resurgence, going through his rebuilding process, like with Derrick James, and we were saying that he was too timid, that needed to be more aggressive, that where was the old offensive firepower that we knew AJ had? Even in that whole debacle, he was still always responsible fundamentally. If anything, he got more fundamental when he was training under Derrick James. Up until the loss to Ruiz. And all the way, with all the wins and all, the Olympic medal, being one of the younger champions, going through beating Klitschko, all of that. We had seen him be able to box, be defensive, and still be aggressive and get the job done. Do and trust his power. No qualms. After Ruiz, he became more defensive, a better boxer, better user of his jab and all that stuff. So he got better fundamentally. He just lost what was the killer instinct that we had known AJ for all this time. But he was still fundamental. Going under Derrick James, he even got even tighter with his defensive ability. Guard was always high up here, like we've seen Derrick James teach other boxers, like with Errol Spence Jr. We've seen AJ always be defensive, always be responsible up until today, up until last week, excuse me. You saw in that fight, walking with his hands down, coming in, never put his guard up at all, constantly trying to use head movement. His chin was always in the air. The head movement was terrible. The chin placement was always right dead center. And this is the problem that AJ falls into now. Now, instead of us saying, where is the old AJ offensively? Now we're asking, where is the old AJ defensively? It's a whole, we're back to square one. We are literally back to square one when it comes to Anthony Joshua. We are back to what we were asking about AJ when we were first trying to see where the world he was as a boxer. And you see, we were saying, where's your offense? You're doing all this boxing, you're doing all this jabbing, but you're too tentative. Where is the aggression? Where is the willingness to go and try to end the show like we know you can do? Where's the commitment? That was the initial argument with AJ. Where is your commitment? Where is your head? Where's your will to trust who you are? That's what we were saying. Now, at this stage, we're saying, what is your defense? Where's your fundamental ability? Where is your understanding of the basics of boxing, especially defensively, that we know you have? Now we're asking for that old AJ. At this point, if AJ, we can say it like this. This is the perfect thing. This is what you need to understand. For everything about Anthony Joshua, AJ has schizophrenia, split personality disorder. I believe that's the term, one of the two. At this point, he's got split personality disorder because there are two AJs at this point. There is the no respect, confident, walking through you, I'm going to beat you because I'm better than you, AJ, where the firepower is there. The willingness to throw is there. The confidence in his ability to end the night is there. But the defensive ability is gone. And then on the flip side of the coin, there's the defensively responsible AJ. What we would call, at that point in time, based on history, the timid AJ. He's fundamentally sound. He uses his jab great. The technical ability is there. He doesn't take unnecessary chances. However, what happens? The brother doesn't do anything. The brother doesn't take any advantage of whatever opening comes his way. He's willingly holding himself back because he's too scared of getting hit. He's a schizophrenic. He's got two different sides that he can't blend together into one person. They are two separate things. They're two separate people. And we saw what came out this night was the AJ that was willing to say, I'm better than you. You can't do anything to me. I don't need basic fundamentals to get the job done. That's what we saw. That's what we saw. And what happened? He got destroyed. It just happened. It just happened. We've seen this with Joe Joyce. Now we're seeing it with AJ on a maybe not as detrimental level that we saw with Joe Joyce, where it was just impossible. But even still, this problem at this level, it's horrible. It's terrible. It is abysmal. AJ didn't have this problem when he fought Franklin. AJ didn't have this problem, at least to this degree, when he fought against Ngannou. AJ did not have the problem of no defense and seemingly a willingness to forego the fundamental basics. For the majority of his entire heavyweight run. This is one of the worst AJs I have ever seen. And I can say that confidently. And I don't say that lightly either. It's one of the worst Anthony Joshuas I had ever seen. And again, getting into Daniel Dubois as we switch, this is not a slight on Daniel Dubois at all. Daniel Dubois fought the best I had ever seen Daniel Dubois. We see as much of a redemption story as we were saying AJ was on in his career, with this fight culminating and a potential undisputed heavyweight opportunity. The icing on the cake. Daniel Dubois had a resurgence of his own. Remember, he lost to Joe Joyce, got TKO because of the eye. We were calling him a quitter, even though, again, that injury was severe enough. I completely understand. We shouldn't have been calling him a quitter, but we called him a quitter because he literally didn't continue. When everybody was saying, oh, you got to power through. Orbital socket was destroyed, and he needed to stop for his own health. Boom. Got labeled a quitter. Then goes, and what happens? More fights down the line. Gets an opportunity with Usyk. Boom. Gets beat. Gets knocked out when it seemed like he could continue. Regardless of what you want to say about the low blow or not, though I don't think it was a low blow. But still, got dominated for the majority of the fight. Got outboxed and got outclassed. Then, when it seemed like he could have gotten up and continued in the fight, after that knockdown with that, what was it, lead jab? I believe, yeah, the jab of Usyk that caught him right on the side of the head. After he'd angled out. He didn't get up, and he didn't continue. Boom. Fight's over. Quit. That's what people were saying. He quit. And I was saying, yeah, hey, you could have gotten up for that, at least from what it looked like. And you didn't. I don't know the boxer. The punch could have been more severe than I thought, but still, labeled a quitter. Then goes, and what happens? Fights Jarrell Miller. And this is where, ladies and gentlemen, the real shift in Daniel Dubois comes about. Because everything that we've been saying about Daniel Dubois that he didn't have, he had in this fight. And I do mean everything. Everything. Jarrell Miller changed Daniel Dubois for the rest of his life. From the trash talk to the disrespect, all that leading up into the fight, to in-ring, constantly forcing Dubois to find another element of himself that he had never unlocked before in his young career. Jarrell Miller changed his brother. We saw, before our eyes, we saw Daniel Dubois turn into a different animal. We knew he was physical. We knew he was fast. We knew he was powerful. But we wanted to see, where can you dig to when you need to get something more out of who you are? And Jarrell Miller brought that out of Daniel Dubois in an absolute war of a fight. That was arguably fight of the night. Got him and knocked him out in the last 10 seconds of the 10th round. After seemingly being pushed to the brink, fought beyond what he thought he could do. Pushed beyond his stamina level. Pushed beyond his tiredness. Pushed beyond his fatigue. Pushed beyond the wall. And turned into a completely different fighter. And we saw it. And for the press conferences, we saw it against Hrgović. We saw the confidence change. We saw the demeanor change. We saw the entire makeup of Dubois change. Hrgović, he goes and fights. Next fight, boom. TKO, knocks him out. Gets landing with the right hands all night long to a shocking degree. A very dangerous degree, if I'm being completely honest. What does he do then? Keeps on going. Doesn't even let it face him. All of a sudden gains a chin that we had never seen Dubois have in his career. Again, because of what happened with Usyk and with Joyce. Now, he's walking through right hands, flush, left, right, and center, pressuring Hrgović to no end. Next thing you know, now Hrgović can't get away. Now he's landing on Hrgović, unloading, opening up, making Hrgović legitimately look like, from the prospect that he was, who beat Zhang, though I thought Zhang had beat him, to now, hey, this Dubois is completely different. This is a different dog. This is a different animal. It's a different animal. It was a different animal. The confidence, the demeanor, the poise, the outright, the human being of Dubois was shifted ever since Jarrell Miller. Ever since Jarrell Miller. Now we see against Anthony Joshua, he put everything he learned from all his other fights together. He put together how to mitigate the jab from Joyce. He put together how to get up from adversity, like with Usyk. He put together how to go to war and dig deep and outwill somebody from Jarrell Miller. The confidence from Jarrell Miller. The to a degree, the almost audacity to think somebody can beat you. He gained that aspect from Jarrell Miller. And the willingness to dig deep and push on. He gained the heart from Jarrell Miller. He gained tenacity from Jarrell Miller. He gained, again, an iron chin from Hrgović. understanding, my gosh, I can take these shots and I can keep moving forward. I am bigger and stronger than these people. I'm going to use it. He gained that. And then with AJ, he put it all together on the biggest stage in front of 96,000 people, the biggest venue or the biggest attendance in Wembley Stadium history, the Mecca of Britain, the literal Rucker Park of boxing when it comes to Wembley Stadium. It's either that or Vegas. It's either that or the Garden. One of the two. But for boxing, it's hard to argue against Wembley Stadium. In the biggest fight of his career, when it seemed like we were going to see another, again, valiant effort, but coming up short again against an elite heavyweight, after coming up short to Joyce, who was at times seen as elite, after coming up short to Usyk, who has shown, yeah, that wasn't a fluke, after coming up short multiple times against the best competition. Now, you run into your own crossroads of this is your moment. And what do? You capitalize and you achieve it. And you go and you put it together. He fought AJ with no respect. He fought AJ beating him at his own game. He was faster than AJ. He was stronger than AJ, or at least just as strong as AJ. He was more determined than AJ. He did not let his offense off on AJ. He knew the game plan was to come in and make AJ turn this into a fight, not a boxing match. Because in a boxing match with AJ, you can get set up and get timed. In a fight, you got an opportunity to get that brother out of there. That's exactly what he did. Consistently using his jab better than I've ever seen him in his career. I've never seen Dubois have this proficiency when it comes to his ability to out-jab his opponent as the shorter man. As somebody who I've never seen with this level of boxing acumen, at least when utilizing one of the most basic punches in the sport. I knew his right hand was lethal. I knew his uppercut was lethal. Hooks are lethal too, but it wasn't, the setup was never something that was majorly there. Now, it's there. It's there. And he took everything he learned from everybody and instilled it into this fight. Never let AJ recover. Never made the mistake of making it so that AJ had time to think, had time to blink. Made it so that AJ was going to feel the power and pressure all round long. Was not afraid of what could come back at him, and made it so that if you land on me, great. But I got faith in everything I am, that if you get to me, I'm going to still make it out and do what I need to do. Hence, exactly what happened in that last round, round 5, gets caught, gets hurt, backs up, still has his eyes locked on AJ, doesn't lose composure, doesn't lose his cool, doesn't lose his calm. Next thing you know, bam, counters with the apropos punch. As chill as could be, and just get, again, shock to everybody, myself included. But it's a testament to what Dubois is. He has reinvented himself. He has gone through the same road, though it was maybe overlooked by a lot of people, that AJ got through. And he came out on top. This was literally a crossroads of two people. One, a young lion turned into an old lion who was looking to get back to the mountaintop. After, again, to a degree, you could argue he failed himself with his lack of confidence for a number of years trying to find out who he was and what he wanted to be. Now, he goes and he makes himself, again, get into a spot where whoever wins this gets a shot at glory once again for the undisputed title. Then he becomes a champion right then and there with the IBF title. Who wants it more? We've talked about with AJ, the will is going to be the thing that gets you. Can you outwill your opponent with what you lost in your career in the past? That was the question. That was the question. And we see that, hey, he got beat. Plain and simple.